For many employees, your next move may be to jump down to the quadrant that is for self-employed people. That is to say, you've gone from being somebody's employee to now you are your own boss. You are self-employed. And there are some really strong reasons for doing that, and I hear them all the time in my position here at the Small Business Development Center. If you do well, if you work hard, if you hustle, if you're talented, if you're smart, guess who reaps the rewards? You do. Not your boss, not the owner of the company. You do. And that is attractive. It really, really is. If for no other reason than you have control over your future, your financial future, not somebody else who at their whim or the whim of stockholders can cost you your job. The only reason why you lose your job when you're self-employed is because you didn't perform. But at least it's on you. You have that control. Now that's the good part. There are some negatives to being self-employed, and a lot of them are the same as when you are an employee. The biggest one being that you're still trading your hours for dollars. And we all only have 24 hours in a day. It's really tough to work 100 hours a week every single week. So just because you are your own boss doesn't mean you're not trading dollars for hours. And that's what we want to get away from. So being self-employed, it's probably not the only part of your strategy. It may just be a step to something else. Also, like an employee, you're still paying a high amount of taxes. Your tax situation, it really doesn't change. You're still giving 30% of your income away to the government. Even though you don't have an employer paying employer taxes, you get hit with something called a self-employment tax, so your taxes are still just as high. And also, here again, if you stop working, guess what happens? You stop making money. It doesn't matter that you are your own boss. You still got to work to make money. That is not your only option, and we're going to talk more about that. Moving from being an employee to being self-employed, it definitely should bump up your income. You get to set the prices, you're keeping the profit. Moving then from being self-employed to a business owner should ramp that up even more. And the reason why is that not only are you keeping the profits because you're the owner, but now you have way more leverage. You're not constrained by your own time and your own energy. You can actually hire other people who are willing to give up their time to make a few dollars. And guess who gets to keep the profit? You do. You're on the other side of that equation where somebody's making money off of your efforts. And that's not wrong. This country needs job creators. I don't want you to feel bad about that at all. If you're going to build wealth, chances are you need to develop some ways for you to be a business owner. It is what I call the new American dream, to be a job creator, to be in control of your destiny, to have freedom over your time, freedom to make decisions, financial freedom without a doubt. The problem with being self-employed is, you're just one person. But when you're a business owner, when you have employees, there really is no limit to how many people can be devoted, can work to make you money. That's the beauty of being a business owner, is you are leveraging other people's time to make your money. And that can scale up as big as you want. Unlike being self-employed, where you can only make so much money because you only have so much time. Being a business owner, it can be an active way of making income. You may put in hours at the business that you own, but it can be somewhat passive as well. There's really nothing to stop you from hiring someone to manage the business that you own. That then allows you to maybe own 5, 6, 7 different businesses who are all managed by someone else that you employ. And that person is willing to work for a salary and to give up the profits from that business because they're just not in a position to do it themselves, or they don't want to. Being a business owner doesn't get you out of paying taxes. I certainly don't want to give that impression. However, it does open up some windows for you to be creative about how much taxes you are paying. You definitely have more flexibility as a business owner than you do as an employee when it comes to tax and saving money on taxes. I would suggest to you that the pinnacle of being a business owner is to have passive income businesses. Businesses that are constantly generating revenue without hardly any effort from you once they're built. And in another segment of this course, we're going to share several different ways that this might look. You know, what is a business that doesn't require much of your time, but still brings money into your house? You may not even think of them as an investment. We're going to talk about investments soon. These are true businesses. They just don't require much of your effort once they're built. And now we're to the final quadrant, which is being an investor. This is where real money is made. This scales up more beautifully than any of these other sections of the quadrant by far. And that's because you're not trading your own dollars for hours or other people's hours for dollars. You know who works for you? Your money. And your money can work around the clock. Your money does what you tell it to do. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't talk back. It doesn't quit and force you to hire someone else. Your money just makes money. And the more money it makes, the more money it makes. It just keeps snowballing and snowballing. And that's how you end up with billionaires in this country, because money is making money. That's what investments are. When you put money into a 401k, that is your money that's making more money through compound interest. Being an investor, it takes advantage of the power of compound investing. And the longer you're in that game, the more money you're going to make. I've said this before, but passive income doesn't mean it requires zero work. As an investor, it will require your research. It does take time to set investments up. You got to spend time monitoring things, tracking them. There is time involved, but it's still very, very passive. The amount of time you spend is very inordinate compared to the amount of money that you can make as an investor. I would also say that it's very much front-loaded. I mean, once you have an investment set up, they pretty much take care of themselves until you're ready to take it out. In all these other categories, we've talked about being taxed. You know, the government always gets its money, right? When it comes to being an investor, here's where you can really save on taxes, because income, money made from your work, is taxed differently than income made from investments. You've probably heard of the phrase capital gains tax. What that is instead of being taxed at your normal rate for your income, for your work, you get taxed at a different rate, a lower rate, for the way that your investments have grown. So if you have an investment where $100,000 became $200,000, it grew by $100,000, that $100,000 is not taxed at the same rate that your work is. It's taxed at a lower rate. Sometimes this is zero if it's under a certain amount. Otherwise, it's taxed at 15% or a max. Like, you'd really have to make a lot of money to be taxed at 20%. That is almost always lower than your personal income tax rate is going to be. So huge tax savings when the way you make money is through your investments. When I say the word investments, you may be thinking stock market, bonds, CDs. That's true, those are investments, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different ways that you can have your money making money. And in another module of this course, we will share some ones that maybe you're not thinking of, but they are investments all the same. And somewhere in that whole landscape of investments are probably a few that you're going to be interested in. And we just wanted to open your eyes to them. So that is the 4 sections of the cash flow quadrant. The goal is to start off as an employee, maybe move into being self-employed, but gradually, as you're saving money, you're finding ways to then become a business owner, to have other people, their time making you money. And again, as you continue to save and build wealth, you're going to use that wealth then to have your money making money as an investor. So it does not happen overnight. It is not easy, but it is possible if you have a plan. And if you're watching this, you've got a plan now. You may not have had one before, but you have one now.